Kimberley Sporting Legends recently conducted an interview session with some of its esteemed sporting legends. The insightful interview was skillfully conducted by Eugene Jacobs at the prestigious Cader Bowling Club. The three distinguished legends who were interviewed are Mr. Cader, Mr. Gordon, and Mr. Williams. The interview session was a fascinating exploration into the remarkable sporting journeys of these esteemed individuals. Mr. Cader shared his insights on perseverance and dedication in the face of challenges. Mr. Gordon elaborated on the importance of teamwork and sportsmanship, while Mr. Williams highlighted the significance of passion and commitment in achieving success in the world of sports. Throughout the interview, Eugene Jacobs adeptly navigated through the stories and experiences shared by these sporting legends, bringing forth valuable lessons and inspiring anecdotes for aspiring and sports enthusiasts. The setting of the Cader Bowling Club provided a fitting backdrop for this engaging conversation, adding a touch of elegance and sophistication to the proceedings. The interview served as a testament to the enduring legacy of Kimberley Sporting Legends and the profound impact that these individuals have had on the sporting community. Their wealth of knowledge and wisdom will undoubtedly continue to inspire future generations of athletes to strive for excellence and uphold the values of sportsmanship and dedication.
Every name in this room, every person that is here today, we want to record, we want to know, and we need to remember your contribution to the sporting fraternity. We want to remember the roar on the rugby field. We want to remember those starts coming out of that Union grounds, running onto the field. We want to remember the ball hitting the bat on the Moss grounds and the Eddie Williams Oval on a hot Saturday and Sunday afternoon. We also want to remember the blood and sweat on the athletics track of those guys who have achieved masters and the skill level of our soccer players, our hockey players, and our netball players. Because those were the moments that built our sporting identity. And that was done long before the camera was available. So these Sundowner sessions are here to make sure that the men and women who carried the province on their shoulders are heard, seen and remembered by every child who picks up a hockey stick, a cricket bat, a rugby ball, a soccer ball and a netball. And we would really want them to be able to inherit the richness of our past. By saying that, I also just need to read out a message from our chairperson, Godfrey Erlang, and he said, for all of you, I mustn't call him Godfrey, you guys know him as Gotta. The chairman, Godfrey Erlang, has asked me to convey warm greetings to you all. Gotta sends his best wishes for today's Kimberley Sporting Legends Sundowner sessions. He's very confident that all of you will have a great time, and he extends his congratulations to the entire committee for putting this event together. Godfrey then also wishes to share that this is intended as a start of an ongoing recognition process. The goal is to record and honor all sports legends, personalities from Kimberley so that their stories and contributions are preserved for future generations. Please accept my best regards to all the legends, the guests, and everybody who is here today. So ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure now to introduce the three participants who had agreed for us to start off and interview them. I'm going to start on my far left, Mr. Roger Williams, a Universals and a Griqua stalwart, hooker, and a quote attributed to Roger is, hooker's job is always the dirty work, but somebody's got to do it, and you've got to do it proudly. So ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. to Roger is Mr. Kenny Gordon, also a Thistle and a Griqua stalwart. And I'm sorry, in Roger's case, it's a Griqua rugby and a Griqua cyclist. Mr. Gordon, Griqua rugby and Griqua cricket. Outside centre, I told him when he arrived here, he was the first to arrive. I said to him that in our days, we never said Kenny Gordon without using the name Chris Lully. So, potent centre pairing of Thistles. The quote attributed to Kenny, if you see space, take it, because hesitation is going to cost you tries. And then the last person, Cader, Arabian College and Griqua Centre. I must tell you that I know that Faldi played every position in the back line. He reminded me a lot of Brian Hermanus, because Brian was always the utility forward for the hooker, the prop, the locks, the flanker, the number 8 and the scrum half. So I know Faldi played Griqua rugby, played at fly half, at centre, at wing and at fullback. So very versatile, and those of you who really know Faldi well will know that he was way ahead of his time as far as I think he was coaching when he should be playing. So Faldi's quote is, the game is won in the head before it is won on the field. So ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Faldi. So, Kenny Gordon, just a bit on your background.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A bit of my background. I was born and bred at Kimberley. I started my sporting career at a very young age in Beaconsfield. You know, people that comes from Beaconsfield, there's not one person that comes from Beaconsfield that never plays sport. Even if you had to play marbles, what sport you had to play. I represented Curriculum West in rugby, cricket, at school, athletics and soccer. My wife was also Curriculum West, hockey, softball and swimming. My son Chris played Cravenwick rugby for Griquas. My daughter Andrew played SA hockey. She played since the age of 13. She played under 16 hockey for South Africa. Under 18 she went to the Junior Commonwealth Games in Scotland. She represented South Africa at under 21 level until she picked up an injury, which was the end of her hockey career. I had many good memories of playing sport in our community. I thank you.
As you know, I'm Roger Williams. My sporting career started at a very early age as well. I attended Transvaal Primary School down the road here, and it is there where, under the guidance of people like Mr. Herbie Rose and Mr. Dale Summers, where I basically learned the basics of rugby at primary school. And then going up onto high school, I attended William Prescott. We all know Mr. Robbie Burgess, and he basically drilled it into us to have to play rugby. And if you played rugby, you were famous at the school, in Mr. Burgess's eyes. And then while I was at high school, I then decided, because of the friends I met there, I met the Mari twins, who some of you might know, they were well known in the cycling fraternity, and we were together in one class, and one thing led to the other, and then for a time I actually, shall I say, kept the rugby aside and I started cycling, where I was fortunate enough to represent the schools, and at the South African cycling championships I won both the sprint and the time trial, and was coming back because of things in your life. I decided to go back to the rugby again. And then just before I left school, I made the Greek schools team in rugby. And then after I left school, I started playing at club level. I joined Young Collegians Rugby Football Club, where I stayed for a couple of years, and I was playing second team there. And I must say, at that age, I realized that when I seen the talent in the Young Collegians team, I knew at the time there was no way that I was going to make that first team, because they were just too good. And I had a hard think about it, and I said to myself, but I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to go to another club where I can perhaps make a first team. But I knew it was difficult at the time, because at the time there was basically 4 rugby teams in Kimberley, and the competition was very tough. And I would always stand by the fence there and admire these guys playing this game on that A field. And I said, one day I want to play there. And as time passed, I joined Universals in the meantime, and then that's actually where my life started. Being at Unis, I became a hooker there. Mind you, at school, at William Prescott School, I played center, first center. But when I got to Unis, we had a bit of a problem, shortage of players, and I said I'll go to hooker. But I can tell you, it wasn't easy to be in the engine room. But I adapted over the years, and then a couple of years later, I was fortunate enough to represent Griquas.
I come from my rugby and cricket career started really when I used to attend Kimberley Wanderers practice, and there I met up with about 6 star legends. Talking here of Tommy Massen, Annie Armanis, Eugene Jacobs, Alvi Eisen, Ronnie Berger, and Uncle Fredericks. And they nurtured me really, and encouraged me how to play rugby. I then joined up, I started playing for Arabian College in '71. Prior to that, I was at Perseverance primary school, and then as a captain there, I wanted to like, in actual fact, I wanted to play. I wanted to attend William Prescott, because at that time William Prescott had a very good team. But unfortunately, my parents said to me, no, I have to go to Floresville. But things worked out very well for me, because then I met up with Mr. Chuks Vasaki. He was really my mentor, and he guided me. He allowed me to do what I wanted to do in rugby. He allowed me to play how I wanted to play. I played fly-off in the 73-74 team, which was unbeaten at that time. Perseverance was the 3rd best team in Greenland West Rugby. And as I said to you guys, we were unbeaten 73-74. So basically, Perseverance had guys like Chris Ludik, Ernest Pretorius, but they couldn't beat us in that period. Going forward, I started playing for Griquas in '75. Unfortunately, my first trip, we had a breakdown problem from Kimberley. First breakdown was in Hopetown. and we slept, the night we slept in Beaufort West. And for me, the good thing that came out in that, I lived with a guy by the name of Greg Marker, which at that time was also a Saro legend. You know, I picked up a lot from him, speaking to him that night. I wanted to know why does SVD, although the distances between Beaufort West, Oudtshoorn and Mossel Bay was, it's about 250 k's, but those guys used to play the same type of rugby. And then he said to me, it was just the educational thing, where the teachers then implemented that stuff, and then going forward, because at that time, the school rugby was, the Southwest Districts was the best school rugby team. Okay, then in '76, I then started playing center for Griquas. And then, as I said, that I did, and I also played like scrum half, fly half, wing, fullback, and center for Griquas. I was fortunate to do that, to be in the team to do that. I think perhaps I was a bit too lucky. I was a bit lucky because perhaps the selectors liked me or that type of thing. But as I said, I ended up. I stopped playing rugby in about '82. Then '84 I became the coach of Brickland West, and then it ended up I was lucky enough to lead the team against Western Province in the semi-finals. Against Western Province, we lost nearly by about six points to 3. Going forward too, I was the coach of the North Zone that played against Saru. The Saru team in Kimberley. We got a couple of guys playing here. That's here today. We lost. Basically, we lost in extra time because we were leading up to the final minute, and then we had two injuries. I spoke to Mr. Patel. I asked him, what's the name? Can we then put on our reserve? He said, no, we can't. And that is how the Saru team beat our North Zone guys. And we had about 6 guys from Kimberley from Brickland West in that North Zone. So as I said, up till today, I applaud them for the hard work and how they gave Saru rugby a go. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Cader, I just wanted to take 2 steps back to Flozai.
Okay.
Because I also matriculated there, and by the time I got there, there was certain names that was always thrown at us, and we don't play like these guys, and we're not so good like these guys. So I just wanted you to go back a bit to Flozai,
okay,
and try to pick up some of the names that played with you in that Flozai team that was unbeaten.
Okay, the teams, the guys that played with me, we had like Tommy Witten, who was an exceptional athlete. Tony Reed. Then we had Cader, which I feel was one of the best scrummers that I played with. And then we had like a guy by Melvin Peacock. Okay, I don't think he played after what's his name. Hilary Ferris, who was a very bustling hooker, hard man. We had Kenny Simons, he was at lock. Nick Johnson, who was also at lock. Then we had exceptional loose forwards. We had like Owen Pretorius, Clive Peterson, and then Rainer Manes. But Rolly also used to make our team like he was a backup to those guys. On the other side, Pescott had an exceptional team too. I'm looking at Mike Leon. He was there, place there. There was Connie Jumpies, Bunny Bennett. But as I said, the key was the tactics on the day that we beat them. Sharif Abbas was also the 8th man there. I mean, man for man, they was also better than us. But as I said, because of our tactics, our tactics was superior to them. you know, we were very fortunate to have like Mr. Chuks Fasaki as our coach. I mean, that man knows the game inside out. And you know, I used to spend, to be honest with you, I was a bad backer at school. One of the worst guys to be. The teachers always had trouble with me because I just went to school to play rugby. I mean, I'm honest with you guys. So I spent a lot of time with Mr. Fasaki. I mean, most of my intervals I spoke to, we were chatting about rugby with Mr. Fasaki and with Mr. Strauss. And the conversation was always rugby and rugby and rugby. So as I said, I mean, we were always making plans ahead of the game and everything. And he used to, as I said, he's my mentor, and he was, for me at school, he was everything. And I can just, you know, I have to like, going forward, I have to like give him a lot of credit for what he did to me, how he developed me. I mean, at that time I was the captain of the team, and how he allowed me to do things like, as you said, I mean, we employed a type of play that the guys are doing now. By, you know, me as a flyer, I used to draw the opposition, then kick. You know, opposite me was Connie Jumpies. He was a sprint champion, okay? But he was a bit lazy. So I used to run at him. And then, you know, as I said, run at him, and then, wow, if he backs off, I have a go at him. Our secondary play from there was play with the loose forwards. If not, we go through. Then also that we had the alternate type of play. It was I used to kick for the weak, and I can assure you, you know that tactics kept us in the game and kept winning us the game, because we had like a guy like Tony Reid and Tommy Whitten. I mean, that guys just had to go tot down the tries. And we employed the same tactics in '74 in Cape Town. Similar tactics, but unfortunately we had a squad of 20 guys. I mean, Mike was also there. He'll tell you. We had we used to play. The first game we played against Boland, which we beat, and we went on the field with 13 guys. The second game we played Eastern Province, we also beat them at 14 guys. The third game we played against Southwest and Cape. We also beat them. No, I'm sorry. They beat us 6-3. But by then already, you know, because we were playing, I mean, our overweight guys were Hilary Ferris, Clive Peterson, Owen Pretorius, Bernie Bennett and Tommy Whitten, and there was another guy. So we had 6 guys that couldn't play in that tournament. But as I said, because of our tactics, our kick pass, we employed the kick pass there. And Tommy, there was a wing, McKee. He scored about 4 tries in that tournament by that type of play. So imagine if Bernie Bennett and Tommy Whitten was playing, and the other guy was Len. He was also overweight. So imagine our back three, first team back team was Len, Tommy and Bernie Bennett. So imagine those guys had to play. We'd have beaten those guys, all our teams. The Thursday we lost because to Western Province, but by then it was, you know, as I said, our team was, you know, it was too tiring for them to play under those conditions. And as I said, those are the tactics that we used. And as I said, credit must go to Mr. Fasaki for teaching us that type of things.
Thank you, Bala. There's just 2 or 3 points that I just need you to make sure that we're catching up on. The first thing is that now, when we watch rugby and we watch the Springboks play and they do the cross kick pass, it was done in our time. It was done way before these things happened. So that's the first point I wanted to make. Even around the strategy that Pauli talks about and how they approach the game. It wasn't just on the field, it was off the field. And then also to Mr. Fasaki. Mr. Fasaki had spent a lot of time at schoolboy rugby. He later progressed and he became the coach at Thistles and later on went to become the Griquas coach. And in all of that periods, there was success that was going with him. So as a coach, very successful. As a chairperson, very successful. And then the third point I just wanted to make, that the three gentlemen had spoken about years, and in particular, we need to understand what happened in this country in 1976. And it was against that backdrop that we still had sport being played.
Yeah.
And on the verge of South Africa was probably going to blow up. There was still sport within our communities. So guys, thank you for that. Kenny, I'm coming to you now. 1973. The Griquas team of 1973. SA Cup versus Western Province. Have a chat about that for us.
I've got one of the players with me here, one of my teammates, Mr. Tobias Ferris. I think we are of the last two standing of that team. Gentlemen, that team of 1973, we weren't the biggest guys, but we had heart and we played for the jersey, the badge, and for each other. There was great players in that team that played with us. The one guy that I must mention about is Mr. Bucks, Eric's Diamonds. You know, I get this thing in my throat. And that man was actually, I'm just going off the point.
Look out.
That man was actually robbed out of a Saru team.
Definitely. Definitely.
Because he was one of the best. He would have compared with the Springbok players that they call today. Mr. Diamonds would have been up there with him.
Can I come in there?
Please, please.
Okay, when I learned to play against him, he was a difficult customer. And, you know, Satch used to tell him, dish, then they give it to him. And then, you know, he takes up the ball, like these guys are taking up the ball now. So then he play once he hits the ground, he places the ball. So these guys are only doing it now. I mean, if you go back in time, because of that skill, the scrum half then sets up play from there. So these also are doing it now. But then he was doing that. And then, you know, as I said, his carries, like the loose, like you see this Peter Steph carrying now. He used to carry like that. And as I said, he used to make the ball available to play up there. It was really a nightmare. So as I said, he is so correct that he was, you know, the flankers that used to play for Starring then. I mean, he was way above them. I can remember a guy like, he was like Muhammad Divi. He played for Roses and then for Starring and then for Bronze. But I mean, he was nowhere near this guy.
Thank you. Well, like Foley said, that was Bucks. Complete rugby player. Good man. Up the building, up to the 73. We practiced late nights for that week. No, the week before that. We played the semi-final before, the week before that, against Boland, also in Cape Town, which was also a tough game for us. And if I can remember correctly, Satch, het ons 'n bus gesteel daar by die semi-final.
Yeah.
They stole our bus. Saturday night, they stole our bus. The Sunday morning, here we sitting. No transport to come back to Kimberley. Eventually, when the transport arrived, we came back. We got here the Monday morning. The Monday afternoon, we started with training again because it was the final the Saturday. But we bond as a team, although we played for different clubs. Myself and Bucks were the biggest friends. We bond as a team. And we worked as a team. We played for each other. I think we lost, like I told you, we lost the game in the first 10 minutes. I won't mention the name, but gave 2 penalties away. Them such. Gave 2 penalties away. We were down 6-0. But as the game progressed, we started getting into the game because we were young guys coming into the team. I was 18 at that time. We were young guys. But we came back at Province. We had a great captain, great leader. Mr. Piet van Wyk was a great leader. When there was a break, he used to come. As you'll right like this, as you'll right like this. He used to, give us that pluck when we playing, we're gonna go for Province. And I can tell you the last 10 minutes before the game ended. Well, the score was 30-15, final score. Sally Fredericks begged the referee Neville Jonas to blow the game off because then we came for it. We were over that.
That game, Mr. Jacobs, it was, leading up to, Griegos didn't have the proper build-up because of, they had to travel. They had to leave, they left the Thursday. And then, as I said, they basically had two practices in between. And then
and having to go back to Cader after they just beat Poland.
I mean, they came here the Monday. They practiced because I was a great supporter of the team there. I mean, I used to be at practice, watching them. But this thing didn't. Okay, it didn't. This particular team didn't start. It started about 3 years before that, prior to that. Such. Then that was Basil Alexander, who was exceptional. He was the brain between
that trio.
Yeah, in that trio for Legends. It was the 3 of them. And then he was really the brain. And, he kept them going. So, that's why I know, I used to go to their practice because I lived just opposite the ground. So because I was a crazy guy, I just wanted to watch rugby. So I used to go to the practice practically every day. So as I said, I mean, that build-up started about 2 years ago because the previous year, Satchwell, he'll confirm with me that we just lost against Poland the previous year, that is 72. Then we had new guys like Kenny came in, he was 18 years old. I mean, if you look at the team, we had John Lewis, that guy had one of the biggest hearts. I mean, he was so gutsy, that guy. He was 19 years old at that time. Then we had Eddie Cader on the wing and Doggy. Okay, they feared like this guy, he was so scared of Doggy, because, Doggy was this big strong guy. Then him and Chris was the centers, which, I mean, as I said, because of the 6 points that they were behind in the beginning of the game, and also the heavy ground and everything. But because their fitness, I think, I'm not too sure, Collegians was trained by a guy by the name of Bull. Am I right? Yes. Yeah. And he used to put those holes through their paces. And they were one of the fittest teams. I mean, Thistles were the Wenders team also at that time. But they beat Thistles because of their fitness. And as I said, then they had Eugene Jacobs, who for me, he was also a mentor to me. He was very silky, and then he was a fly-off. And then Shorty, he was a scout-off. And I'm just analyzing the team for you so that you can get a picture of what the team was all about. They had like Oils, he was a very fine tight desk scrummager. And then Cassie Karls, he was one of the best hookers of the ball. And then we had like Piet van Wyk and what's her name? Chunky. He was a very hard man then. They were the locks. Toby was the what's her name? Edmund, big engine.
Toby was lock. Ernest Pretoria was 8.
No, Ernest was reserve, man. Even Colin Jackson, they were reserve.
So the reserve was coming.
Yeah, but then afterwards, Watson came. Yeah, he was, and Watson was, Colin Jackson was the reserve. Yeah. And then any fellas with the other flankers. So we had a good solid team. You know, as I said, for me, I cried when we lost that game. So as I said, because the work those Oaks put in, and you know, for Western Province, they had the previous week, they were there in Cape Town. I mean, for them it was easy. And our team had to travel up and down. And as I said, you know, the steaming on the bus, that was also a factor. So I would say hats off to those Oaks.
Yeah, it again just shows the talent, and it shows the amount of rugby players that we had. I also have to say from my side that that loose trio of collegians, again, in my eyes, I always maintained I wasn't the best rugby player in the world, but when I used to stand on the side of the rugby field, and when I used to see Toby and Basil and Bucks Diamonds, it was magic. I tease Carlo Alexander very often and tell him I don't know where he went wrong, because that was like world class. It was absolutely world class. And when that skills get transferred into the Griquas team, now you must remember on the Saturday prior to that Griquas game, then there's war between collegians, universals, Thurstles, and Arabian College. But I tell you, when that Griquas team walks into that stadium after they had a nice lunch there by Butara Shah's house on the corner there, Mr. Alexander, when they walk in there, it's a unified team, and they could take on the world. So, so I do know, Kenny, that you guys were honored that team of 73, because it was really, there were some greats in there, and I'm glad that we could pick up on that period, because again, you can go through our history. It is such a rich, talented group of players that constantly flow through the system. I'm now going to Roger. I'm going to ask you about your Griquas teams, but I'm more interested with you around the manner that were next to you. Esteemed Pilar.
It's remarkable to listen to these guys that were now just before me. But fortunately, I was involved with Fowley. I played with him a couple of games off, and he then became our coach. But speaking of my era also, and before I forget, or lest I forget, that name, Bucks Diamonds. I mean, to me also, he was a mentor to me. So let him rest in peace, but he was great. But in my era, I want to speak more broadly. I won't specify certain games, but I can just speak about my experiences being a provincial player, and you know, the things we had to go through to be able to represent the province. I specifically remember things like we had to play Tygerberg, and we left here the Thursday night, and we got to about 50 km from Worcester, and the bus's engine came in. And there we were sitting. And luckily we had guys in the team, like myself, being artisans. And lo and behold, the bus was pushed in the main road in Worcester, and the guys took out the engine. Just there, they started stripping, phoning around for parts and whatever. And we spent the rest of the Friday laying on the pavement there, those of us who knew nothing about an engine. Sharply them were busy taking out this engine. And lo and behold, we got this bus started the Saturday morning. And we were supposed to play our SA Cup game, which starts on time at 3 o'clock. And we drove through to Cape Town, Bellville, Tygerberg. And we were sort of getting undressed in the bus on the way to the game. And we got to the field at 10 to 3. But we were all dressed already. And we could fulfill that fixture. So those are the things that not only inspired me to continue with the rugby, but it was the things that made you a better human being. Then there's things like, I remember having to go play Transvaal as a curtain raiser game for a final between Eastern Province and Western Province for the SA Cup. And they invited us to play the curtain raiser before the main game, because we ended 4 or 5 or somewhere. And then also there was this big rivalry between these two big unions, Western Province and Eastern Province. And I specifically remember at the time I was captain of Griquas, and we beat Transvaal there. But the night at the function, we were all in the Alabama hotel, and the tables were set out. And on the one side was Western Province, and on the opposite side of them was Eastern Province. Yeah. And further down was Griquas in West and Transvaal. We sat opposite our opponents. And the president of SARU made his speech. And after he made his speech, there was some comment made. And then all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. And that evening, we had to run for our lives. And we didn't know where we ran into. Because it was now no more a rugby match. It was a fight between Western Province and Eastern Province. And you know, so funny. It wasn't an hour after that. After everything was cooled down, we went back into that door. And you wouldn't say that it occurred, you know, that these guys wanted to fight and whatever. But speaking more about Griquas rugby, I must say that I am proud to have been associated with Griquas, because I played and I learned a lot from a lot of players, and there's 1 or 2 of them who are sitting here. And I mean, I don't want to single out people, because I feel it will be unjust to single out certain players, because like Mr. Jacobs has said, when you put on that peacock blue and white jersey over your head, you go into another mode. Doesn't matter what club you play for. And that was the strength of Griquas rugby. Yeah. And I think also what helped us a lot was the fact that we were only basically 4 teams. And we knew each other play in and out, because we played basically every third week. You would face the same opposition. But I must say, I came across some players who were just outstanding in their positions. And I can speak only of those around me. I was hooker. I didn't see much on the field, because my head was the last to come out of the scrum. You know, that type of thing. But I must say, speaking about guys in the engine room, yeah, I must really mention 2 guys. I think the best front row I played with was the late Wolfie Popham on loose head and Warren Adamson on tight head.
How do you?
And yeah, you said it. Ironically, all 3 of us played for Universal.
Adamson.
Yeah. M.B. Adamson, yeah. And ironically, all 3 of us played for Griquas, and I think that was a big help to not just for our play, but it helped Griquas a lot, because we played together at club level and we played together at provincial level. So we knew one another, our style, you know, inside out. You know, those were guys who, if you can tell a loose head prop, provincial game, hey Wolf, I can't see the ball. Lift that guy up, lift him up. And it was like pressing a button and you'd see that tight head forward of those guys lift up. And it's because of things like that I developed a unique tactic that I've never
Now a penalty, Rod.
never ever seen it's been done again. I had the ability to hook with my left foot. Yeah, nobody else, I've never ever seen another hooker being able to do it because they all hook like that. But because I had a prop forward like Wolfie whom I could tell, Lachel Pop, I could use my left leg. Not like the rugby they play nowadays where the ball gets thrown under the eighth-man's feet. I mean, there's no competition in scrumming. Yeah. So these are the things you learn. And I must say, I've played against of the best there were in Saru, especially if I think back to guys like Aslam and Nazim Tufi. Those guys they just thought they were something else, but we brought them down to earth. Because being a hooker, you have to be tough. There's no way. You can't go cry by mommy. You can't go cry by mommy. And I got a lot of shots because my hands were tied. But I developed another tactic. So you will hit me in the scrum when my hands are tied, but lo and behold, if I get you in the loose scrum, I don't care if it's your backside or your face, it all looks the same. And then you will get it. And I mean, as time went by, you basically get identified for being that guy. You know, that guy.
The sweatband.
But yeah, with the sweatband, of course, yeah. But what I actually want to say is, when I got into the Griquas team, I was protected because I was very young. I was protected by people like Toby Ferris, Bucks Diamonds, Junkie Hudsenberg, Mike. And then, as time went by, I became a senior in the team. And I had to protect the younger players coming in. And I specifically want to share something with you that I still laugh about. We went to play Western Province in Cape Town, and I stood with the ball. I was about to throw the ball into the line-out. And the late Ralphie Hani came running out of the line-out to me. And I wondered now what was going, because we already gave the sign where the ball had to go. And Ralphie said to me, "Hey, Ranga, ek sal nie kan spring nie." Ek vra, "Hoekom nie?" Hy sê, "Hy oor daar langs in die staan. Ek dink hy size 15 boots." You know, and I had to speak to the tell Ralph, "No, moet die man se boots kyk, die man kyk die bal wat hy kom. Because he knew the ball was going to be thrown on number 7 to him, but he was looking. This guy is Blatcher. He really, and I made it my duty, you know, in the next move to look at this guy's feet, and I thought to myself, maar hy man, Ralphie was nie verkeerd. No, but I mean, with that big feet, I mean, Fowley just reminded me. I mean, I got hold of Blatcher. I thought I'm not going to be scared of those big feet, you know. That type of thing, but these are the things that we went through. I mean, to have represented our province. And I must say, I was then also with the transformation, or shall I say, I don't know if you can call it unity or what it was. But I mean, there's very few people that know that I was the first non-white selector for Griquas. Yeah. And it didn't last very long because I could immediately see the attitude of these people. They were under the impression that we don't know the game. You know, and like was said by the previous speakers here, the type of rugby they're trying to play now, it is rugby that has been played in the Saru era. That was what made Saru rugby so entertaining and nice to watch. Because running rugby was, I think that is why most of, like in the Cape, I mean they had the most of Saru's unions. That is why they identify with the type of rugby the All Blacks play, because they knew they played it those years already. You know, it's nothing, it was the rugby they're playing now, and the moves they're making now, like the box kick and that type of thing. Those are tactics we played. He was our coach, he brought it in, Pauli. And I mean, we played it years ago. Now it seems to be, as they brought it in, something new in rugby. It's old to us. But I mean, what I'm glad, and I must say, what I'm glad about is that still we stood together. We stood together. And even after time, you know, when our club started disintegrating because of circumstances, the political climate and stuff, people moving out of the areas, and it affected our school rugbies and stuff.
And the field.
To an extent, I mean that even our precious AR bus was taken away from us. I mean, just this morning I spoke to Charles Koch, he stopped there and we spoke about this function tonight. And we just shared one or two things, and I said, where were the days when we used to go on a Sunday? I remember specifically putting up that newsstand of where young collegians sat. Sundays we used to work there.
Came from KCC grounds.
Yeah, we had to move it from KCC grounds. We were given that stands, but we had to erect it there. And I said to Charlie, you know, Basil Alexander has passed away now. But I want to tell you what he said, what happened one Sunday. We had the stands up and everything was ready now and then the stands needed a coat of paint for the rust. And then they decided, these is collegians stands. Ons paint die stands collegians colors. And I stood there and I said, nou wat van Junis, ons het dan ook gehelp om die stands op te sit. Ja. En op Basil Alexander broke loose en hy sê to me, hey, ons sal die undercoat universals besides the rugby and our achievements in rugby, I think there's another side to the rugby also. And I think that is what kept us together and was so nice. And it is hard sore today if we see what is happening. It is really hard sore. I mean, I'm not saying that it's closing, but I would like that, I mean, more of us get involved with the youngsters and what's happening to our youngsters today. So that if we can just win over the half of them. But I know it is difficult because of our circumstances of not having a field, not even at school level, the schools that don't have fields. So that we can produce. We're sitting with talent in the Northern Cape. I mean, if you look at, I'm not going to downgrade the existing Griquas team, but I mean the system. How can you be the Currie Cup champions? Or you've been the SA Cup champions now, this other thing they play for. But in that whole team, there is not one youngster that's been groomed in Kimberley from primary school level to high school. There is a so-called colored guy playing there, but he went to school at Grey College in Bloemfontein. But can you imagine, the Currie Cup champions in this country does not have a player that comes from their city. It is disgusting. It is disgusting. Yeah. These are the hard sort of things, and I mean, these are the things we stood for, and what we played for, and what we sacrificed. For the rest of the evening, I'm sure more things will come out. So that's mine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Roger touched on a few of the players, your mentors, the greats that played with or against you.
Yeah, in rugby, it was Box Diamonds, like I said, Piet van Wyk, the guys that I played against in the other provinces, Clive Thomas of Tygerberg, Desmond Boyson and Desmond Kramer, of EP, but really my mentor was my cousin, Tommy Gertzer. That was my mentor. He was one of the best you could get, rugby and cricket. At school he was 100 and 200 meter. He played soccer for Wanderers Soccer Club. He excelled in all sports that he played. That man used to bat without gloves. And I asked him one day, hoe kom bat jy sonder gloves? Hy sê ek voel gemakkelijk so. Maar die ander ding is, hy fast bowlers wat daar vanaf kom, try met in my vingers te bowl. En dan gaan hulle oor die kruis. Dan slaan ek hulle. You know that he taught me a lot about rugby and cricket. I remember when I played my first Griquas game, he bought me a pair of boots. Argentina, Adidas Argentina boots. That boot you could fold up like that and put it in your pocket. My first cricket game for Griquas. And I was fortunate to play with him for Griquas. He bought me a Mike Proctor drop handle cricket bat. And he used to tell me before we go on a Friday night, when we used to sit, we used to play against, I was young, we used to play against Mr. Cader, Mr. Cecil Jacobs, great players, Mr. Jackie Lewis from the Kimberley Wanderers, great players. And I was a scholar. I was at school at Floors High, and I must play against my woodwork teacher here. If he comes up, he said, try my eet te vang. He's unmoeilijk ball. And what do you do now? And there's a man that could hit the ball far. And our spin bowler, Mr. Greef, Mr. Simon Greef, and Mr. Simon Greef, if Mr. Lewis or Mr. Cecil Jacobs, Mr. Kenny, gaan uit dan. Then I must go field on the boundary. Mr. Jacobs used to hit him for 2 sixes. The third ball up in the end, Mr. Greef used to say, ek jou gesê jy is 'n gelukkige batsman.
Can I just add on? Yeah, I just want to add on something that just came up now. You know, with our managers and those guys. I mean, we were really fortunate, you know, to have people like the late Bunny Hermanus, Jaap Kruger, even Lloyd Lowe. I mean, he was never a rugby player, but that man is a brilliant administrator. And I mean, we can learn a lot from him, and we did learn a lot from him. But I just want to share with you 1 or 2 things about our managers we traveled with and how happy crew we were. Specifically, Uncle Buns with his guitars. We used to take it with wherever we went. And if we go to the after match party or the dance or whatever, the guitar would go with. And specifically in PE once, when it was half time, the band stopped playing, and then Uncle Buns would have the guitar, we would all sing. And after about an hour, the band didn't start to play because the whole of the dance was around us, listening to Uncle Buns. And then what happened was, John Lewis came and he said to Bucks, is probleme hier. And they said, Bucks said, what is it? He said, kyk Uncle Buns' skoene. Nou, lyk my het sy skoene verkeerd. And then we went to Uncle Buns while he was playing. He said, Uncle Buns, I said, Bunny, now that's how we go. I think you got your shoes on wrong. And he said, no problem, chappie, you'll just do this. You know, those are things. I mean, like, driving in the bus and, you know, and then there was moaning. No, there's no more taking of shot in a bus while we traveling. You know what I mean? We as players, we never did it before a game or whatever. But the managers, of course, they just said, yeah, no, they just sat there. And the next the morning, now they have to do it in the privates. And the morning, we slept in the bus now, the bus was traveling, and as when the sun rose, Mr. Kruger was sitting, he was sitting next to me, and Uncle Bans was sitting in the next row. And he said to me, Maga, for Bunny, wakker. And I woke Uncle Bans, and Uncle Bans said, morning guys, morning champion. Mr. Kruger said, more Bunny. Hello JP. He needs a cigarette after me. Now, I mean, those are the happy times. I mean, another thing is, I mean, we traveled to play Western Province Board in Guguletu. And when we got to Cape Town, they stopped us with a bus and said to us, we're not allowed to stay in Guguletu. We need to apply for a permit. And then all hell broke loose. They were going to arrest us. But we absolutely refused to go apply for a permit to stay in the township. Yeah. And we defied the South African government and the South African police, and we went into Kailija and we stayed there.
Yeah, we lived there.
We stayed in Kailija at the principal's house, all of us. Yeah. So those were all the things we stood for, not just the rugby, you know, but because, I mean, that's all the things that we're working.
Thanks very much, Roger. Fala, mentors, heroes, guys who played with you against?
Yeah, okay, I had many, you know, like for me, it started long before, you know, I started playing. I was a very big admirer of Eugene Jacobs. For me, it started around about 1964. I was about 8 years old. I went to the tournament here, the Rose tournament, and then I started watching him. Then it was him and a guy by the name of Maui. He played for France. I tried to watch him, you know, we used to play in the yard. My brother was Ayer, I was Maui. And those are, as I said, I mean, Ayer taught me so many things. He taught me the movement, lateral movement, you know, he used to tell me, listen, the key thing is, you know, once you look at the ball, if it's in the air, and you look at the ball, but you judge the ball in a manner that you can move under the ball. So because the guys come at you, they don't look at the ball, they run at you. So what happens, I used to stand under the ball, you know, I used to look up, and the ball is going to drop about 2 meters away, and then I just move under the ball. He's always used to pass me. That is the skills he taught me. Other thing is this, a guy like Alvi Eisen also, he actually taught me how to kick the ball, to kick a grabber, to kick the torpedo, and that type of thing. Then going forward, you know, a guy like Alvi Alexander, he was also a big mentor to me. He actually came and picked me up. As I said before, I wanted to go to Pesco School because of those hooks. I wanted to go and play for Pesco School. Unfortunately, my dad didn't take any of that because Mr. Lewis was his friend. I had to go to Florside. And then I met up with Mr. Fasaki, who you know, he was my spiritual rugby mentor, because he used to teach me everything what, you know, what he picked up prior to, like, he was at, when he was at college, studying as a teacher, he used to pick up, because he used to play in the Western Cape at the inter colleges and that, so he had a lot of experience there. Then he was also the 8th man of Thistles. You know, as I said, I mean, he played for Griquas at that time. Then the other guy that was I really loved playing with was Hassan Jardine. I don't know, these guys, they most probably don't know him, but they must know him, because you know, he had this fearsome face. Yeah. He was like permanently crossed. And you should look at these guys. And you say, fella, maak ook dinge gaan vlug moer. You know, so you know, those are the guys that I used to play with. Going forward, you know, I played with Sech. I played with Bucks. Those are all the brilliant guys that I used to play with. Mikey also, big heart. I enjoyed playing with Mikey. You know, he came from a very modest team. I mean, as I said, in those years, Eunice didn't win one game. That's true. But he was the heart and soul of Eunice. And I mean, they were up against us. They were up against collegians, so they were battling. But he was the driving force behind that team. Later on, as I said, as they started building that team, once they got Roger and those guys, they started winning. But as I said, they have to say thank you to him. You know, so as I said, these are the guys that I played with. Then I also played against a guy from Tigerberg, as earlier was mentioned, Clive Thomas. He was also an excellent number 8. And then Spook September, brilliant player. You know, this guy was really exceptional. Then, as I said, there was guys like Kramer, Boyson. He's also very good players. And then I played against Kasim Jabbar also in the centenary in Ribbon College's 75th anniversary. You see, Davis, I also rated him highly. Then the other guy that I played was against Chicky Watson, which, well, as I said, I didn't rate him then. He was more of a show boot, you know. He just played like these white guys play, just run at you, power and that. But I mean, if you tackle him low, he's nothing. So, as I said, I played against him. He was rated also highly. Then I would like to also mention here that there is many of our guys that was robbed of Saru cars. That's why, I mean, I looked at guys like, as we earlier, like guys like Parks Diamonds, Winston Douglas, Roger. I mean, let me put it this way. It's not that I coached him, but he was one of the guys that could put in the ball on a tiki. He was one of the best feeder into the lineup. So, you know, there was other hookers. Then they used to tell me, nee man, hoekom pick julle die man? Hoekom pick julle die man? But the key is, the primary source of our game was to win the lineup. So he used to put the ball in Winston's hands, basically. And that was the key. So we developed a kind of play where, in actual fact, we shifted, because at that time we had a lot of conflict in our union, okay? People used to withdraw. I mean, I can tell you now, I was a selector then, a coach. On a Thursday night once, 10 guys withdrew from me. I don't know if you can recall. We had to replace 10 guys on a Thursday night. That was the conflict. So after that we decided, no, you must tell us if you want to play. Mike was also, he was the captain then. And then we decided, either you play for us or you do play. And then we, you know, as I said, we had good players, but we had, our backline wasn't that good. So what we did, we selected the team that could, guys that could defend. That was the most important thing. So what happened, what's the name? Our game around the lineup, because we had Winston, we had Mike, we had Plastic. We could win the ball from there. So, and then Roger puts in the ball, Winston catches the ball, Mikey catches the ball, what's the name? And from there, Farid launched a box kick. So this is the Drasi say, this is a new thing. And we played that in 86. So it's a whole thing for us. So as I said, he kicks the ball, we then win we win that. Say for example, we win 30 meters, we push the guy out, and that is how it went on and on and on until we could launch an attack from there. We're looking at guys that couldn't make Saru colors. Like, I mean, you look at Winston Du Plessis. I mean, he cleaned out this Saru's lock. volley. I don't know, volley, yeah. He cleaned him basically out. And we played against Western Province in 1987. That was the semi-finals. Because of these tactics that we applied here, like on we instructed like Shorty must only water the field the Monday. And then we actually rolled the ground after that for 3 days. So it was iron hard. So coming these guys in with these big stats, they couldn't neutralize in the scrum. We out-scrummed them, we outplayed them basically. I mean, as I said earlier, when he lost the ball on the try line. So, you know, I was very, very upset because of that, because we could have won that game. And Western Province went to win the SA Cup that particular year. I also, you know, as I said, I mean, to come back to it, if all our clubs supported Greenland West at that time, I believe we could have won the SA Cup that year. And that was you know, as I said, that was the camaraderie in the team, how these guys carried the team. Although there was disappointments and that, it kept on going and kept on going. That was the important part.
Yeah, thank you very much. A round of applause, guys. To all three of you, your last few remarks, but more focused on these gentlemen here, and also if you had an opportunity to speak to a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old that is keen to take up rugby, what you tell them?
Okay, in my instance, I think the most we stop looking at our shortfalls. That is the most important. You know, all of us here, we learn to play rugby on a small patch of land. I mean, I take it from myself, where I learned to sidestep, where I learned to. Do you know that I used to learn these skills by playing in our passage at home? No, the passage. You know, and you don't need many guys to play it. I mean, I used to play with my brothers. We used to sidestepping, and we used to was I have no skills there. They got so tired eventually, then I called in my sister. So, as I said, I mean, she had to play with me. And this is where you learn. So you don't need a big field to learn to play rugby. I take it, for example, the tackle, for example. You must learn to tackle, but you just need, you know that you just need 7 inches to beat the guy. Because this is your end. This is, you know, to tackle the guy, if you go in for a tackle, to beat the tackle or to break the tackle, you just have to move 7 inches away from him, then you can beat him. So it's a matter of timing and that. So this is the skills that we have to teach our ladies. So going forward, you know, as I said, we must encourage these kids to play one-on-one, two-on-two, and that everything. To tackle each other and that everything. Because this is why you learn the game. You don't learn the game by playing. For me, you know, I would suggest, I heard before, the graphic schools don't have what's in it. I believe that the guys should be encouraged to play touch rugby. Because you can use a field like a tarmac, where the girls used to play netball, and you can play during interval, you can play touch rugby. You don't need to tackle. So there you're learning the skills to pass and to run. You learn the vision to run into the gap, and you learn the vision, you get a vision to pass the guy into the gap. So as I said, I don't think we should look at the game. Going forward, if I was like, if I had to have my way, I would say, listen, when I played rugby at school, we had about 240 guys playing there on a Saturday afternoon, on a Wednesday afternoon, and then again 120 at high school. So I feel if we have to play now, if we get that field, we should divide that field up into 4, and then we play 7 rugby. I believe because of our kids, we must look at their athleticism. We have to look at their size. I mean, we can't compete with these guys forwards, okay? So, but these guys got passing skills, they got athleticism, they got speed, and so what we do, we develop these guys like the 7th league. I would let them play the 7th league, okay? So now if you get a 15-man setup, you got back play, you got backs, you got loose forwards, and perhaps you got locks. We don't need tight forwards. Okay, you'll get a tight forward that amongst us, but this is where we can start our rugby. I feel if we make this the hub of 7th rugby. I mean, nowhere in South Africa there's a hub. Only in Stellenbosch where they have this academy. But if we produce these guys, you must remember, these guys, they have nothing. And if we can produce one Springbok or one Blitzbok, that should be our target. I mean, that guy comes back. Today, rugby is an industry. These guys are earning, I spoke to Godfrey the other day, these guys are earning a base salary of 400,000, 600,000 a year. Now, a Springbok earns about 10 million rand a year. Now imagine this, we can produce one of this one. He comes and he invested in our community. And that is the important thing. So these are the things that we must look at. It's going to be very, very difficult, I can tell you, to have clubs playing the game. Because we have to affiliate to Britain West Rugby. Because you have to have box mark. I mean, you have to have an ambulance there. But if we play sevens at our ground and produce guys there, players there, that is good enough to play like in Craven Week and play in the cricket team. I think that should be the start. Then we should use the university too. Like, say for example, if I had to play today, I would have spent about 12 years at university, definitely. Because I would have played rugby I would have docked I wouldn't have worried. Because I would have wanted to play rugby because you get your meals there for nothing. You get your tuition, and then you get some money. I mean, these guys, you get the guy here from SCU, with them, they get some money, and then the girls also there, you see. So as I said, I mean, we must look at it.
Thanks, Bala. Again,
Mr. Cader said it well.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Raj, anything you want to add? Just to sum up what Pauli said there, I mean, we're actually sitting in a dilemma because, I mean, it is difficult. It is very, very difficult to start with these kids and to try and build up a legacy of rugby or whatever sport it might be. It is not because we don't want to, but we sit in a situation, first of all, let us just be honest. At the present moment, where would you be able to take those children to start off with? I mean, we don't have the basic thing, which is the facility. And that is what we are crying out for. We can have all these fancy ideas, but I mean, where do you take those children to? I mean, it is disgusting what's being done to us, what's been taken away from us. I mean, how do you motivate a child? You can't tell him to go play on Lords. I mean, it's not conducive to sport. Because a car can get out of control any time and kill 3 or 4 kids, and then who's going to take the blame? And there stands a rugby ground. There's a white elephant where this history was created. That's the hard sore part. I mean, once we won that battle, we can then start with the other stuff and say, now, all right, like Pauli suggested, divide the field in 4 and start with 7s rugby, whatever, it will be a start. But we are sitting with our hands tied. And I think at the moment, that should be our fight number 1. That should be our fight number 1. Because really, if you just look around the union grounds, what was the aim of the union ground? We're sitting with 3 or 4 primary schools who have nothing. We're sitting with one of the oldest high schools. William Prescott has nothing. And we allow it to happen. We sit back, we allow it to happen. I mean, I think I would like, in my last few years that I've got left, God willing, on this earth, that I would see something happening, sport being played at the AR of us.
Give a round of applause to
Just before we close, I would just like to, from our side, would like to thank this committee and even everybody who came to listen. And I hope we will support this type of thing further, because I believe there's more of it going to take place concerning other sporting codes. And as I've said in my closing, let us stand together, all sporting codes, and make this a huge success. Thank you, Mr. Jacobs, for your comments.
Thanks very much, Roger. It's better coming from you than me appealing for that. So thank you very much. Thank you to these guys. I just want to acknowledge Jean-Pierre Trigard, who's the coach of the Knights. Thank you very much from the Dalai Lama, that we can apply to sport and we can apply it to life. And it says that the purpose of life is to help others. But if you can't help them, don't hurt them. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It was an absolute privilege having you all.